The statue was unveiled on a brisk, overcast morning, polished to a synthetic gleam. Ronald McDonald stood on the pavement, meant to evoke permanence. His pose was one of frozen jubilation, a broad, lipsticked grin stretched beneath a painted porcelain nose, his gloved hands pressed together in a gesture of delight, as if he had just conjured the golden arches from the air. His oversized shoes were planted firmly, his deep red wig frozen in buoyant curls. He was a sentinel of sucrose, welcoming an invisible throng. But the doors of the gleaming new restaurant slid open and closed on empty space. People passed, commuters with eyes on phones, parents with strollers, joggers in rhythmic trance, but their trajectories arced around him, as if repelled by an unseen force field. The statue's smile, under the flat white sky, began to feel like a question no one would answer. The first change happened after just a couple hours. The corners of his smile, once upturned with geometric precision, appeared to have now become a profound frown, his eyebrows arched upward. His hands, still pressed together, now seemed less like a clap of celebration and more like a gesture of pleading, or asking for a certain forgiveness. The black makeup around his eyes seemed to run a millimeter or two. The darkness resembled tear tracks, and in the long afternoon shadows, it gave his face a strangely melancholic cast. A passerby, an old woman with a netted shopping cart, paused and squinted. "Looks like he's having a bad day," she muttered to no one, and moved on. A couple more hours passed, and the next change was one that could not go unnoticed. The clown was now on his knees, hands still pressed together, and the frown was still there, but the lips now appeared pressed together, as if holding back a tremble. The jollity in his glass-eyed gaze had evaporated, replaced by a distant glassy sheen of resignation. His posture, once proudly upright, now suggested a faint, weary slump. The hands, tightly clasped, were white-knuckled, though they had no knuckles, the fingers pressing into each other with a new intensity. A group of teenagers passing nearby pointed and laughed. "Dude looks depressed," one snickered, but the laughter was uneasy, and they did not go in for fries. The true grief announced itself in the posture of the head. Just an hour later, Ronald's head had risen to look to the heavens. He was no longer looking out at the horizon of potential customers, but up at a deity that would never answer his silent prayer for paying customers. A businessman hurrying past with a latte did a double take. He stopped, stared for a full minute, his own face unconsciously mirroring the statue's conflicted misery. Shaking his head as if to clear a hallucination, he tightened his grip on his coffee and walked swiftly away. The palms of his hands themselves are now open and empty, smooth and exaggerated, emphasizing vulnerability. There is nothing clenched, no fists, no grasping fingers. This openness gives the impression that whatever he once held, hope, purpose, control, has already slipped away. His head is tilted upward, exposing the pale white neck and emphasizing the dramatic angle of his face. The upward tilt does not suggest optimism or prayer. Instead, it reads as a silent demand directed at the sky or something unseen above him. The pose freezes him in a moment of unanswered anguish. The clown eyes are now fully closed, sealed tight beneath sharply arched black brows. These brows curve upward in a sculpted expression of grief, their shape permanently locked into despair. With the eyes shut, the face feels withdrawn from the world, as if even witnessing his surroundings has become unbearable. His mouth is now the most striking feature, wide open in an exaggerated oval, stretched into a frozen scream. The interior is dark, contrasting starkly with the white face and red painted lips. The shape suggests a wordless cry, something raw and emotional rather than controlled or articulate. Despite the bright, playful colors traditionally associated with joy and childhood, the overall effect has become deeply melancholic. The combination of kneeling posture, clasped hands, uplifted gaze, and exaggerated frown, and now the open-mouthed wail of agony, transformed the clown from a symbol of cheer into something tragic, almost penitential. He looks less like an entertainer or a mascot, and more like a figure caught in an eternal moment of regret, anguish, or utter shame and disgrace, silently begging the world above him for mercy he will never receive. The people kept walking by. Nobody would enter the restaurant. The clown was resigned to accept his fate.